Welcome to Meet the Court. I'm your host, Jawwaad Johnson. Meet the Court is brought to you as a public service by the Superior Court in Atlantic and Cape May counties, as well as the Cape May Technical High School, to better inform you, the public, of the workings of the court and the role of the judiciary in our communities. Today's show will begin a series of discussions about careers in the judiciary. The judiciary employs over 9,000 staff members who make ready over 1 million cases throughout the state each year. We will be dedicating several shows to the discussion of the benefits and challenges of a career with the judiciary. Here to start our conversation, our panel of guests, all court executives in the Atlantic County Superior Court. Shyra Bland, Assistant Chief Probation Officer, Chris Coos, Assistant Civil Division Manager, and Melissa McGee, Assistant Criminal Division Manager. Welcome to our program.
Thank you for having us.
All right, so let's get started. Tell me about your backgrounds. Where are you from? I'm going to go in order, so Shyra, we'll start with you. Tell me about your background.
Well, I'm from Camden County, and before I came to the judiciary, I actually was the executive director of a nonprofit, CASA of Camden County. We advocated for abused and neglected children. So I did that for actually 10 years before coming to the judiciary.
Oh, wow. So you came straight from the nonprofit to the judiciary?
Yes.
Okay. Chris, how about your background? Tell us about
I'm from Toms River, New Jersey. I went to law school down in Florida, and somebody told me about a clerkship opportunity.
Okay.
So I actually started with the judiciary as a clerk in the Mercer County Superior Court. I then worked a couple years for a private attorney and actually missed working in the court system. I really enjoyed my time there, so I came back as a team leader. I spent some time in civil and criminal, and now, as you noted before, I'm the assistant division manager in the civil division.
Awesome. And how about you, Melissa? Tell us about your background.
I started off in law enforcement when I was quite young, about 19 years old. I was there for a couple of years, decided to finish my degree, got interested in some of the other careers in criminal justice, found my way to the judiciary. I have been with the judiciary now for I'm in my 15th year. Started off as a probation officer, then became a team leader, then assistant chief of probation in Cape May County, and then now assistant criminal division manager in Atlantic County.
So how long have you been in your role as the assistant criminal division manager?
I have only been in my current role for approximately 9 months.
Oh, wow. So everything is new to you there in criminal, but you bring a wide swath of experience, it sounds like, to that position.
Yes, yeah. I started off with, I was in child support enforcement, so that has a lot of dealings with family division, so learned a lot about family there, and then learned a lot about family also in supervision as well because of juvenile, and then moved on from there to criminal.
I'm familiar with the family division because when I'm not hosting the show, I work as the assistant family division manager, and so we interacted a lot in that role. Chris, how about you? How long have you been in your role?
So I've been the assistant here in Atlantic County for 2 years. Total with the judiciary, I have 8 years experience now.
Oh, wow. So you came back from practicing in the private sector and came back to the judiciary, and you've been with the judiciary for 8 years. So that must mean that the judiciary, comparatively, is pretty much equal and could be even a little bit better.
Well, actually, I think the judiciary is much better. There's a whole host of reasons why I think we'll get into a little bit later.
Yeah, we're going to dig into those.
Yep.
How about you, Shyra? How long have you been in your role?
So I've been in my current role for 1.5 years. Before this, I actually worked in Burlington County, so I was a team leader with adult supervision, and then before that, juvenile. But I've been with the judiciary for a total of 5.5 years now.
Have you been in probation the entire time?
The entire time probation.
Wow, so you really have adopted to the role of probation very well from your start with the judiciary.
Yes, I think when I worked in a nonprofit, we were actually housed in the court system, so I worked a lot with family and also with probation a lot.
So Shyra, what made you come to the judiciary?
Well, the judiciary is a lot more stable than a nonprofit. When you work at a nonprofit, you hold a lot of hats. So at a nonprofit, I was the IT person, I was HR, I was operations, I was everything. And while they give you a lot of vacation time, they don't give you a lot of money. So coming to the judiciary, especially at that time, being married, having a very young child, it's more for stability.
Oh, wow. Chris, within your journey, what made you come to the judiciary?
Well, originally it was for the experience. So in law school, a lot of people will try to get a clerkship. It's a great way from the inside out to learn the law. And then when I had gone private, I really enjoyed the time, but I kind of missed just the feel of a family the judiciary kind of has, and that it gives everyone.
Feel.
So I kept my eye open while I was working, and eventually a position did open up, and I was lucky enough to get it.
All right. Melissa, what made you come to the judiciary?
I was very interested in the enforcement aspect to begin with, but really I wanted to have more involvement with the courts. I did have some involvement in my former role, but was interested very much in the courts. And now that I have been with the courts for many years, I know what each of the divisions, how everything runs, and just the interaction between actually all of us. I mean, you would think that criminal and family are, maybe worlds apart, but not necessarily. We work with one another almost every day, and the work that we do with our stakeholders, it's a great position to have.
So being in the position that you have requires, I'm sure, education. Can you tell us about your educational background and how it prepared you to work with the court?
Yes, I did. I got my associate's degree from Ocean County College, and then, like I had said, I did take a little bit of a break because I went into law enforcement, went through the police academy and worked there for a couple of years, and then I wanted to continue my education, and that's what had led me to the courts. And a lot of things about your education do prepare you for this job, public speaking, business courses, really anything and everything that you learn specific to writing, everything in literature, it's all relevant.
Chris, you're a lawyer. You went to law school. Tell us about how your education prepared you for a role in the judiciary.
I think law school was a great segue into this career. I was able to learn, a lot about a background of, different things like contracts and how they work. In the civil division, we handle a lot of contracts. We do small claims and special civil part. Small claims matters people are very familiar with because they watch, People's Court on TV. But at the end of the day, a lot of those issues, especially landlord-tenant, come down to contracts. And I, just learned a lot in law school about, the actual elements of those, and it gave me a great background that really comes up almost every day.
Shyra, maybe about a minute, but tell me about your educational background and how that prepared you for where we are.
Well, I have a bachelor's degree from Monmouth University in criminal justice, and then I went to St. Joe's and got a master's degree in criminology. So I would probably say the best thing that prepared me was an internship, because I did an internship with the Public Defender's Office and with being an investigator. So that really prepared me to work with the court system.
This is Meet the Court. I'm your host, Jawwaad Johnson. We'll be back with our guests after this message.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move. So I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
Welcome back to Meet the Court. I'm your host, Jawwaad Johnson. We're discussing careers in the judiciary with our guests, Shyra Bland, Christopher Coos, and Melissa McGee. So Shyra, how has the work with the court enhanced your career?
I think it definitely enhanced my career because it actually gave me an opportunity to work with a variety of different people. So not only do I work with people from the court, but also different stakeholders, different organizations, community groups. So it really actually gave me a chance to really network with different people and to kind of expand that network and to meet a variety of different people in various jobs, and also just to learn about a variety of other just organizations and clubs and everything.
Chris, you switched careers, no longer able to practice law while working with the court. So how has the work of the court enhanced your career?
Surprisingly, I think a lot of people kind of take the feel that, oh, you're out of the law, so you're probably not, handling or up to date on things. But it's actually the opposite. Working here, we're able to review all of the cases that come out, and we're routinely working with the judges to make decisions on cases that are currently pending. So it's really given me a whole nother aspect of being part of the law, and I've really enjoyed it, and I think it's enhanced just my knowledge, and the ability to continually learn has been a fantastic opportunity.
Melissa, you've been in a variety of different divisions within the Superior Court. How would you say that the work of the court has enhanced your career?
I have had the extraordinary opportunity of working in all three of the courthouses in the vicinage, starting in Atlantic, then Cape May, and then now Mays Landing. And each and every single move has improved my knowledge, enhanced my relationships with stakeholders, and also internal customers. But it's great because you get to learn different ideas from all different people. So one thing that maybe we did in Cape May, for example, now we can implement something that's similar in Mays Landing that helps benefit us there.
So you've been to all three courthouses. You've seen a lot of the culture within the vicinage itself. And just so our guests know, a vicinage is the general area that captures Atlantic and Cape May County together as one. It's Vicinage 1 in the Superior Court. So you've been through that. You've seen a bunch of different things. What would you say the culture of the judiciary is like based on your experience?
The culture that I have seen in all three courthouses, everyone who works for the judiciary and everyone who works with the judiciary is very hardworking and very dedicated and truly care about the courts and the community. So I can say that's my experience with the culture, that everyone is, just really passionate about their positions and the work that they do.
Chris, you come to us from a different vicinage. You were in Mercer County before you came to Atlantic. How do you think that the culture in the judiciary is based on your experience in those two places?
I think it's a lot alike. I really believe that everybody that works in the judiciary has taken that path because they want to, help others and they enjoy the public side of working. And for me, it's really was seamless kind of coming from Mercer to Atlantic counties in that we do a lot of the things the same way. And at the end of the day, we're always making sure, that we understand a lot of the people that come through that door are not happy to be there. And we do everything we can to make it as pleasant as an experience as it can be.
So Shyra, similar to Chris, you've worked in multiple vicinages. Please tell us, same question, how does the culture navigate in the judiciary?
I think so. I came from Burlington going to Atlantic and Cape, and it actually is for me two different worlds. Because actually working in Burlington is just one county. So working in now here in Atlantic and Cape May, and then while we are actually three courthouses, for me in probation, I'm going back and forth between Mays Landing and Atlantic City. But the one thing that I have seen as far as the judiciary is it seems like we're all one big family. So it doesn't matter if I'm in Burlington, Atlantic Cape May, someone from Camden, it really doesn't matter. I can always kind of reach out to my counterpart, and if I have any questions or we're just bouncing off questions or we have issues, that there's always somebody there that that's there to lend a hand.
There to assist and help you
Absolutely.
along. Yeah, I think that's a really good feature of the judiciary and a good place, a good working environment for anybody that is in management and, even at the entry level. So how does that compare to some of the other jobs that you've held in your past?
So the other jobs in my past, I didn't kind of have that network. We were all kind of in our own little silos. Because it is that when you come from or you're in the nonprofit world, a lot of times we are all fighting for funding. So we're all not kind of one big happy family. We are all kind of competitors because we're all competing for the same amount of money. So it is a very different, didn't always have a person that I could kind of reach out to say, bounce off ideas or have questions. So that in and of itself is very different. And then also it is that you're also kind of more in like a silo because you're by yourself. Whereas the judiciary, as you said, there's like 9,000 people, so you kind of can reach out and you have like 9,000 little arms you can reach out to. So
it sounds like a much more relaxing environment.
Much more relaxing, and then also just, like I said, it's more of, I know that I can come to work every day. I'm gonna work from 8:30 to 4:30 or maybe a little bit after. When I worked before this in CASA, I would probably get up, be at work at 8 o'clock. I would leave at 5, go pick up my son, drop him off, and then I'm back at work. So I would probably work sometimes until like 8, 9 o'clock at night.
Chris, how does that experience compare with yours when you're comparing the judiciary to other jobs that you've held?
Well, I can definitely relate to the hours part. As you can imagine, as a private attorney, we had our days were a lot longer. I was actually working up in Parsippany, New Jersey, and I live in Toms River. So I had about a 3 to 4 hour a day commute, and then it was typical to work about a 12-hour work day. so I wasn't home much. But I agree with also what Shyra said about just when you're at the judiciary, you kind of know your role and you know what you're going to be doing each day because we're at the end game. So when people come to us, the matters have already been filed. But privately, when I was working as a private attorney, you're actually from start to finish. So you meet these customers from the first time they come in and explain their issues. So you have there's a lot of difference. But at the end of the day, I was still in the law, so we were still filing complaints, and I've enjoyed both.
Melissa, we have a minute. How about the judiciary the jobs you've held before the judiciary?
Before coming to the judiciary, I did a lot of shift work. So that's a very big difference from, the typically Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 4:30. I would have to work, midnights, sometimes work, multiple days in a row without having any days off. So that is definitely a large difference from that to where I am presently.
This is Meet the Court, and I'm your host, Jawwaad Johnson. We'll be back with our guests, Shyra, Chris, and Melissa, after this message.
Opiates has taken everything and everyone I've ever loved away from me. Everything.
I blew my ankle out and I got prescribed pain pills by my doctor.
If making my story public is gonna help somebody,